All right, hey guys, welcome to my first episode of the Free Life Agents podcast. I got a really special guest here for you guys today for my first episode. He is first and foremost, he's a great friend of mine, a wonderful dude. I was luckily enough to meet him about, was it 2, 3 years ago? Probably 3 years ago, on the cusp of,
Close to it.
cusp of 3 years ago where I first met him. But he's a wonderful guy. Came out of getting ready to get out of the Air Force. But he's a real estate agent, real estate investor, and an awesome family man. But he's also a great blogger and a very, very great technical wizard as well. So welcome to the show, Charlie Cameron. How's it going, Charlie?
Kobe, man, it's a pleasure to be here. You're setting the bar really high.
Setting the bar
Hopefully
really high with
goes well.
yeah. I'm starting off with a bang and getting ready to start off this podcast with the best person that I know to do it with, and that's you. So
Let's do it, man.
that's awesome, man. So yeah, Charlie. I mean, this is the Free Life Agents podcast. We're really going to talk about is just why you got into real estate in the first place, man. Because you have a pretty unique story in terms of where you get into real estate as an investor first. So if you could just kind of introduce yourself and your story, the way you would tell it, not the way I would, but tell us a little bit more about what got you into real estate, what your background was before, and why you decided to jump into real estate the way you did.
Yeah, so the whole real estate journey started like a lot of other folks. I was doing the military version of the 9 to 5, which is a little bit more than 9 to 5 typically. My career field was pretty similar to the rest of the world, but kind of wondering, I was big into investing at the time, getting into passive stock investing, index funds and stuff, and I was just looking at it going, man, there's no way to retire before 60 doing this thing. So I kind of thought to myself, what can I do different? A friend of mine asked, have you ever thought about real estate? And I used the crazy, the typical answer, well, I don't want to fix toilets, right? He was talking about real estate investing. And that was a limiting belief there. And I kind of went down the rabbit hole. And 8 months later, I bought 8 apartments as my first investment property. This was about 6 years ago almost now. And then it kind of spiraled from there. I ended up buying a couple more apartment buildings with a partner. We moved from Ohio to Florida. At that point, I was out of money. So like, okay, so you can only buy so many things on a military income. Now what do we do? I got my real estate license. I was like, well, hey, maybe these go together and I'll enjoy this too. Turns out I really liked that too. Now that's not as much investing, but there are ways to generate kind of passive income streams that way as well, or additional income streams, which made it very fortuitous for me in especially the last year. But since I've been licensed about 2.5 years, so it kind of has spiraled. I made multiple pivots, sold all my apartments, bought a bunch of short-term rentals to kind of increase my cash flow and income, and building a team, building lead gen sources as an agent, and that's really starting to take off now too. So things are going well all the way around, I would say.
Yeah, I mean that's awesome, man. I think there's something you just said right there where I really want to kind of touch on and dig into a little bit deeper. You said that you went from not wanting anything to do with real estate at all in the beginning to all of a sudden 8 months later buying in an 8 unit apartment. Like, how did that happen?
Yeah. So a lot of people looked at me silly when I made that social media announcement that we just bought 8 apartments. They're going, well, I just bought a cool 20 last week, right? They're all joking around. It's funny, of course, bigger pockets. I listened to a Jake and Gino podcast on bigger pockets, wheelbarrow profits. And their whole philosophy was, hey, buy as many as you can initially, because then that'll set you up for massive growth. All right. The bigger one, even if you buy a duplex over a single family, typically your income's going to be more, and expenses aren't going to be double. So anytime you can buy multifamily, you're all of a sudden getting a higher potential cash flow or ROI than you would on a single family. So it's this we're going to get into a little bit of an interesting story. It's actually a property I'd already looked at. It was in kind of the roughish shape. It was in a really good location though, really good, like, kind of working class or entry level white collar area. And my wife and I were like, okay, we're gonna get the biggest one we can. I saw it. I knew the numbers would work because the rents were at least $200 below market per unit. Um, and that's a lot. So we looked at it and it went under contract. I'm like, dang it. Okay, we'll wait for the next one, and looking. We got under contract on a terrible duplex we backed out of. Um, and we were at the hospital for my daughter's birth, my first child. And you know, the baby was born and everybody was tired and sleeping and life was good. Everybody's happy, healthy. Um, and I saw the deal pop back up on my phone. I called my agent. I was like, Rod, buddy, put this under contract. I've been in it. I know it'll work. Just do it, man. And so we did. And we got it going. Um, and it was interesting. The first day I went from closing, which my daughter got to be at, so that was kind of cool. And then I went straight to the apartments, and the inspection findings were incredible. So we ended up putting a lot of money into it, and I put a lot of sweat equity into it. And I went in the first day, right from closing, to the unit and pulled mummified squirrels out of one of the furnaces that a tenant was living in. So let's start this podcast off with the way you succeed in real estate is by serving people the right way. Deferred maintenance. I mean, these people had lights in their kitchens that wouldn't work. I mean, they had all sorts of issues that I just created a list and just started going after it, and making their lives better. Which in turn meant I could raise the rents to a normal market rate. And that was really a great place to get started.
Man, so I didn't know that story, but that closing day for your apartment, or the day that you made the offer, that was the day of your daughter's birthday.
Yeah.
It was the
Yeah.
same day.
Yeah. Interesting, huh?
Ah, wow, that's awesome, man. So you
Yeah.
got started as being a dad and a real estate investor, like on the same exact day.
Yeah. And I actually had the stupidity to self-manage all 8 units initially too, as a new dad. So it was an interesting balance. But I think it really was a fantastic experience to learn how that works before I outsource it to someone else.
Right. Yeah, I think that's really important, and that's what you said. Like, one of the things I know about you, Charlie, is that you got a lot of hustle. I mean, one of the things you always talk about is juggling 30 different things at a time, and I don't know how you do it, but you're able to do that, and that's incredible, man. You got a lot of hustle. So, I mean, is that kind of like the reason why you were you were just really interested in building some passive income, was because you discovered bigger pockets in the first place, or is there something else kind of always inside you that you just wanted more than your job? Because a lot of people are just they're just happy doing what they're doing, and they never really think about it, put their
Yeah,
money in an account, and they just leave it there. So
that's a really good point, Kobe. It is something I've never really understood. I've sat around the office and I've listened to people who've done a full military career, 20 years, which means they get a pretty hefty retirement. And then they go back and do a 20 more years in industry, right? Or for the government, or wherever. And so many, I mean, 95% of Americans are all locked in this work till you're 67 and then die mode. It's never sat well with me. I've never understood why people want that for their lives. Why would you want to retire when your health is at its worst, right? And frankly, my wife and I have seen, even pre-COVID, we had so many um, uh, this sounds kind of morbid, I'm sorry, but so many people around us that passed away, people with family members that just, just random events. But it kind of just makes you think, like, man, do I really want to wait around to really see the world and spend time with my kids or my grandkids and do so many cool things? You only get one shot at this whole thing, one time, right? So what are you going to do with that one time? So my original goal was, hey, my wife and I are both active duty. We're going to work 20 years, and then I'm going to use this real estate investing piece to replace the rest of that income at the 20-year point. So in our 40s, we would basically have total location and income freedom to do what we want. Now, knowing me, I'm probably still going to hustle in some way or another, right? But I kind of found ways to accelerate that plan by an additional 10 years. We're close to it. So um, things have changed a lot since that plan, and it's changed just in the last year and a half. I've been able to pivot and make a ton of changes when it comes to real estate investing, real estate sales, and probably the biggest one was just my network is really what changed everything for me. It kind of set me on this additional path to create financial freedom way, way, way faster. Hopefully that wasn't too long-winded there, but
No, man, that's what this that's what it's about, man. I want to hear more about you because we've known each other for a while, but I'm learning new things about you during this conversation that that I didn't know before the past 2 years, and that kind of goes to show like what kind of friend I am, right? No, but yeah, no, I think what you touched on was really good. Is that you realize that you don't want to spend the last portion of your life enjoying it. You want to spend the majority of your life enjoying your life, and that's what a lot of people here, I think, who are listening should kind of take an inventory of, where are you, the point of your life right now, and where do you want to be in the next 10, 20 years. How much time do you really have? Because we really don't think about it. We think everybody else dies, and that we're the ones that don't die. We have forever to live. So I mean, but yeah, man. So we're gonna get into a lot of like what you're pivoting in the last year and a half or so, or last 2 years, I think that you said, because that's really where I think and I could feel that when we're having conversations, that's when your business really kind of exploded. But I kind of want to dig into where you're talking about transitioning from being just a real estate investor in the beginning, and then kind of moving to Florida in that transition, and then getting your real estate license. So what was like the point where you realized that you wanted to go, and also be an agent as well? Because a lot of people kind of go the other way around. They're an agent and then they become an investor. But you went and got your real estate license. Was that because you were moving down to a new state and that was just a little bit more convenient, or what was the thought process that went behind that?
Kobe, the initial thought process was I'm out of money for investing, and how could I build that up faster? Well, maybe if I had my real estate license, I could use that to invest. So I could do some flips or some burrs, and I could make a little commission along the way, or not have to have the commission expense along the way. Um, and I thought, that sounds about right. That's what we'll do. And what what actually came to fruition was I ended up selling other people homes instead of investing at all. I've gotten some referrals for my own investments, just kind of referral checks, working with other agents for my own properties, but I have not actually used my license for direct investing. I use it for my own house. But it just kind of worked out where, hey, wait, if I can invest in real estate, I can actually be pretty good at selling real estate too. In fact, that might be the easier thing, and a lot of people don't realize. So, kind of happened where I met Matt Gardner. Of course, you know him, and at the time he was doing great things. He was also active duty. He was a part-time realtor, and he was starting to just take off and crush it. I'm like, I like this guy. I like being in his sphere, in his network. He said, hey, take this course, you'll get your real estate license, and come join our team. And I was like, wow, okay, I'm just gonna do that. I didn't think twice, right? Like, oh, should I look at other brokerages? Should I look at other teams? What's the best? And instead of, I've already learned the whole analysis paralysis thing for real estate investing, right? You sit there and wait for a long time, you're just missing out on opportunities when you could be just moving forward and executing. So I was like, okay, I like him. I like where his head's at. I like the opportunity that EXP would give me for investing as well. And I like some other things about the company. Let's just do that, and I'll run with it. And it took a little bit to kind of get going as a part-timer, but it's definitely taken off in the last year.
Yeah, man. So so Matt Gardner, he's the reason why you why you ended up getting your license. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, very much so. I went to an investor meetup. He was hosting the investor meetup here in the town I live in, Niceville. Met him, went to a couple, and he's like, and after every meetup, the dude is like, you think I can hustle? Not even close, man. The guy doesn't sleep. He must not. Um, he's he's closing 50 million a year in sales. He's closing hundreds of millions in departments, syndications. The dude just doesn't. It's amazing. But at that time, we were both kind of smaller level and trying to grow. And after every meetup, he would take notes the whole time, and then he would send an email to everybody with the things they were interested in with additional resources. Crazy, right? And so that night, after meetup 2 or 3 or whatever, he sent, hey, here's how to get your course or your license online. And I was like, okay, signed up, 2 hours a day, 6 weeks later, licensed, right? So it's frankly pretty easy in Florida, I think, but might be biased.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's definitely because I'm also I mean I'm licensed in Texas for those that don't know, but I mean 6 weeks that's definitely faster than what we have over here. But man, so something else that you touched on is that you're somebody that I realize that you just take action immediately. So that's what I think that's what really separates you from other people and why you're able to kind of you're able to kind of speed up your success and make it so that it's fast tracked and you're not waiting like you said in the beginning where you ended up taking an action on just getting into building some wealth and passive income with real estate investing in the first place, and now talking about getting your license, you didn't wait and think about like you said, you thought over the analysis paralysis, and you don't want to wait for that because it doesn't matter when you make the decision, because the moment you make the decision, that's really when you are ready. I don't know how is that kind of what you went into when you were thinking about all this, or is that do you just kind of you're so high energy that you just got to do something all the time, or do you realize the point where is really your decision up to when you are ready and not waiting for the outside world to kind of tell you when you're ready?
Yeah, I'd say there's 2 contributing factors there. The first is I'm impatient. We'll call it a major personality flaw that has worked in my advantage, I think. Um, I don't like to wait for anything, so I just execute. Like I can't even stand waiting in lines. Anytime I can order ahead or get the lightning lane pass, right? I'm doing it because I can't. I'm physically unable to do that. I just don't like it. And then the other piece really is the whole military piece of it. Being a leader in the military. Now I'm not like flying jets or doing any kind of really high stress level kind of things, but I am going out there and executing large multi-million dollar test and acquisitions weapon system programs, and 10 years of that experience have really got me to a point where I am able to take in just enough information and then execute, because you get caught up in this loop of, well, what do they think, what do they think, and you could gather information forever and not have all 100% of it. So in the military, you have to just be able to get as much information as you can, but at some point you got to stop, make a decision, and move on, execute that decision, because at the end of the day, having executed that one is going to get you to the 80-90% solution much faster than waiting for the 100% information and then executing a different or a similar plan. So that piece is a learned skill that I'm grateful for.
Yeah, man. So I don't remember where I read it, but I think I read in a book somewhere or an article somewhere where it's people should make decisions with only 70% of the information, not 100%. Anything less than 70%, you might not be being cautious and maybe missing some pieces of it. But anything more than 70%, you might be seeing too much and over analyzing. So I think that's something that you did unconsciously and not knowing, and that's why you're able to essentially make decisions that you have as quickly as you can and be where you are. So yeah, I didn't really know that a lot of the skills that you had in the military kind of carried over into not just I always thought that the skills that you carried over from the military was like your technical background, because that's what we're gonna want to talk about a little bit about how you're such a technical wizard when you're we're digging into our blog here, but your leadership as well and your ability to make decisions fast. So is that kind of the reason why you've been able to essentially jump industries and jump or not jump industries, but it kind of transition from different aspects of real estate investing, different business models as well. And yeah, I mean, even jump industries, going from military to investing to agent and now Airbnbs and leading a team as well.
Yeah, I suppose that's certainly a contributing factor. Being able to just go out and execute, no matter what environment you're in, no matter what team. Um, I guess that is something that's carried on. I haven't thought much about it, but I've always been someone that couldn't, even in college, pre Air Force, right? I've never been someone who could just, you know, what do you do? Oh, I'm an engineering student. That was never enough for me. I always wanted to be more and do more and see more and have more and experience more. I guess is the bottom line, experience more. So I was, an engineer, or a lifeguard, a firefighter, EMT, an ROTC student. So I just did it all because I wanted to, and I needed that factor. So even, yeah, yes, Air Force, full time, but I still needed more. I wanted to be able to do more in life than just, frankly, a lot of people can make it to 20 years in the Air Force or in the military. Um, so even that wasn't enough. That is a big deal. Certainly, I don't want to look poorly on those folks. They are dedicated service members that do a lot of work for their countries and go through a lot of sacrifices that sometimes most people don't understand. Um, but I still wanted to be able to do more and see more and experience more. So I guess maybe that's another flaw, but
No, I don't think that's a flaw at all, Charlie. I think that's actually that's something that I find that is really interesting, and I want to kind of explore more into that as well. Is I never really asked you this before, but you've accomplished a lot of things with your your investments and your closings and the team that you've built so far. But you said that you would really enjoy just having more experiences. So I mean, kind of asking this question, maybe like without any preparation, but have you kind of realized that do you enjoy the experience and just getting more and learning and actually doing it more, or do you actually enjoy, and I think I know the answer to this, the actual accomplishment more?
it's the growth that really gets me. I mean, it fuels my fire, man. I don't know if it's Grant Cardone. I think it is Grant that said, if you're not growing, you're dying. I feel that way. I feel that way. I have to be growing. And as soon as I stop with one thing, right? Like, okay, I bought some multifamilies. Cool. I need to do something different now because I can't just keep doing that one thing because that's not enough for me. I need growth. I need something different, something new. Um, and so, yeah, I love learning new stuff. Hey, lately I've started learning about crypto. Okay. And you could say whatever you want, right? But
Yeah.
hey, there's interesting things about it. I want to understand what's happening there. It's just part of the human nature. And I think a lot of real estate investors and big agents are doing the same thing just because they have that growth mindset and that growth desire, right? It's on my priorities list on the wall, right? Growth. That is one of my priorities. It's one of my 5 priorities. So I just already know myself, and I know that I've had ruts, right? We all go through ruts and have little bouts of what's wrong with me? Why am I not happy? And for me, it's usually because I'm not making progress on something new. It's usually what it comes down to, and it's not always real estate related. It might be, hey, I was really excited to take my daughter to the zoo for the first time, and it turns out we weren't able to go. That's gonna set me back for a couple of days, right? I'm gonna be because I built it up. I was ready. We're gonna do this new thing. It's gonna be exciting. Like I'm taking my daughter skiing next week, so hopefully all goes well. No flights are canceled because man, I will
Right.
be I will be pretty upset if I can't take her skiing for the first time. Um, anyway, yeah, I love growth. Love it.
Yeah, no, I think what people need to understand, that if they're listening to this right now, is that if they're going through a rut, like you said, that whenever you go through a rut, right, when they kind of want to, I think people should go ahead and just take an inventory of themselves and see if they're, what really is making them, be in a rut. And usually what I realize, and that's the same thing that you said, that whenever you're kind of, feeling upset, feeling down, the only thing, or the most important thing that you can do is just to go out there and actually go and do something, maybe try something new, go out there and actually do some progress, or like do the hard, go out there and do a hard workout, and you're growing, and that's how you kind of get out of there and build that momentum as well. So I love it, man. I think that's a great message that everybody needs to hear, because a lot of people are more than I would like to think is that they're suffering and they're not as in a place that they want to be, and they don't really know how to get out of it. And doing something and taking action towards anything. I mean, like I said, just taking a workout or just going out there doing something productive at all. I think that's the way to kind of get out of it. So, but yeah, man. So you're kind of transitioning now into your investments into a new industry, like I said, into Airbnbs for multifamily. And so how has that been? And why was why did you kind of get into Airbnbs, and what was the factor that kind of made you switch? Because you sold all your properties, that you used to have, and now you're kind of you're all in into Airbnbs, right? That's the 100% of your investments.
Yeah. Well, I've got one long-term single family rental, just kind of by happenstance. I held on to it during COVID when we moved houses. But um, yeah, that pivot. So kind of all happened when I started expanding my network. Right, your network is your net worth. I know people say that all the time, but
Mm-hmm.
it's so important and so true. And people just don't value the power of a powerful network of people. They totally undervalue it. I joined. Um, it's called the War Room. It's a basically a real estate investing mastermind for veterans, ran by a friend of mine, Dave Perret. And I met him at Veterans Real Estate Investing Live. It was the start of COVID, so we went to this Zoom only um, thing, which then meant I could go because a lot of life's busy, and there's no way I would have been able to go to it in person. So I got to sit in this Zoom thing, and then I realized how many people out there are like me. I've been in this my own sphere of friends and family, and there were one or two real estate investors or kind of financial freedom minded folks in there, but not very many. I went to this event and everyone had that mindset. And some people were a few steps before me, and some people were way ahead of me. And we were all mind melding together and learning from each other. And I was like, wait a minute, this this is something else. Like all of a sudden, I just discovered something where I can grow so much faster. So I so I joined that War Room Mastermind, and I talked with a lot of these folks. The Dave Perez of the world, the Blake Dailies, and other folks that, of course, Matt Gardner, who've been doing the big syndication and Airbnb things. Um, started gathering data, but putting yourself in a group like this was amazing because now you're just on a peer level and you can ask any questions, and everyone is open about what they tell you their experiences. So you now no longer have to learn the same mistakes like I did over and over and over with multifamily by myself, right? um, Now you can just take a step forward, and I kept interviewing people. I got a good buddy, Jeremy Porto too, big multifamily syndicator, prior Air Force guy. So he kind of mentored me initially, which was awesome. And he and Dave and everybody I talked to, my War Room squad, all said the same thing. Like, hey, focus on cash flow. Focus on pushing that up now. I was kind of putting the goal 10 years ahead of me, when I retired from the Air Force. They're like, no, push everything now. Your goal is cash flow now. Go execute that plan. And so I was like, uh-oh, well, my lending terms on these long-term rentals weren't great. They were B, C class long-term rentals. So they came with a lot of issues and a lot of expenses at the turn and all this stuff. And I'm like, man, these really aren't that great cash flowing. Long-term, it'll be fine. They'll gain value. I'll pay down the loan. I'll get a little bit of cash flow per unit, but it's not going to be life-changing for a while, right? So I was like, okay, I can do multifamily syndications, which I really didn't feel like I was in a position to do yet. Um, or maybe I could do short-term rentals. So I went that route. I ended up, my wife and I bought a 4-bedroom townhome in Orlando, 20 minutes from Disney World. And it was when COVID started, so when everything was on sale. So we bought it. We started renting it on Airbnb. We improved quite a bit of it, and over the year we cash flowed pretty well. My apartments, I was expecting to do, maybe if I was lucky, $100 a month cash flow. We were cash flowing $500 to $800 a month on this one townhome, right? And I was self-managing, which was really not that hard to do if you knew what tools to use. So, it kind of just, it just blew my mind that I could do this thing. Um, and yes, I was working in the business by self-managing it, but I was also, um, there was a fun aspect to it. I was learning something new. Um, I'm now launching a management company, right? So now I'm taking that knowledge, I'm placing it somewhere else so that I can flow it up and expand that way. But it really just started a snowball of, okay, I've met all these great people. I need to be building my income streams, building my passive income, and increasing my total cash flow. How do I do that? Well, short-term rentals, it's building a real estate team, and it's just growing those two aspects to incredible levels.
Man, that really transitions well what I want to kind of talk about next. Because just to recap, the two things that really stood out to me with that with your conversation was building the networks and surrounding yourself with the right environment. I felt like that has been so important. Me personally, realizing this sort of past 2 years is that who you surround yourself with really truly will determine your success and your values and how you feel and your vision as well, because firsthand what I've been doing. So uh yeah, man, just surrounding yourself with the right network and the environment that is around you really does determine, I wouldn't say it's the sole factor, but it has a big, it plays a big part into whether or not you're, somebody successful or not, or whether they want to be where they are. So people listening to this should always, see who are the people around them, see what their environment is, and try to make it easier for them to for themselves to success. Because that's something that people don't really think about is making it easier for you to succeed. And your environment, that's where it starts versus some people just try to do it with straight up willpower, which is a lot more difficult. But the other thing I think that really goes well with is that the network, and then also what you said about building cash flow now instead of waiting. And that really goes back into kind of like the conversation we were having before, where you said that essentially you wanted to take you want to take action now, enjoy life now. And that's what people really need to think about too, is how can you build residual income now so that you can have the freedom faster and not have to wait until you're later in life to have that freedom, and use only equity and the investments that you've built up now. So on the topic of networks and building cash flow, tell me just a little bit more about what has gone into the thinking of you building the team that you have here at eXp Realty. I mean, if you don't know, Charlie and I work at the same real estate company. We're partners on the same team. He was actually the one that introduced me to this incredible opportunity here. So can't thank him enough for that. I always tell him that. I don't tell him that enough. But on the topic of networks and cash flow, these two go so well with what you've been doing. And is that the reason why this team building model and helping other agents stood out to you so much, and why you're focusing so much of your time on it, and been so successful as well?
Yeah, dude. So coming in as a real estate investor to EXP, I didn't really understand um, what I was looking at till I was there. And the network was again the thing that paid off here. Matt Gardner, Chris Bounds, Connor Steinbrook, these guys are incredible. They're amazing. They're going out there, they're selling tons of real estate, they're huge investors, and they're massive team builders. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'm on board on the investing. Okay, I'm on board on the sales. What's this team building about, right? And so they're building local and national real estate agent teams. So I had to understand a little more. Why do that? Well, because it's just another way to create an income stream by helping others succeed. And for me, and what's the way you go about helping others succeed? Okay, you teach other people, other potential agents about real estate, about EXP, help them succeed in building their income streams. I can't think of a thing that makes me happier. Talking to people about real estate, helping them succeed, and getting paid to do it. That's amazing. That whole model blew my mind. So I was like, it's a no-brainer. Why wouldn't I do this? I already love talking to people about real estate, right? We talk about it every week. Um, and so, hey, now I can maybe get compensated long term on a monthly basis by helping other people succeed. Done deal, right? This is something I'm going to work on. So started building that. You were my key partner in doing that. We built something totally different that nobody had done, and we were able to be pretty successful. by helping other agents like us, right? We weren't the people going out and saying, oh, going after these big brokers or, big key massive agents of the world. Like that just wasn't us, right? So we chose the approach that made sense. Hey, let's help other agents like us. Yeah, sure, they're not the big producers, and that's okay, because we know how to help the people who are just starting out. That's where we started, and so that's really been a blast, networking with brand new agents, with part-time agents, with agents kind of getting started, and now we have, as I've started to become a decent producer as well, start networking with those agents and building that sphere, and then building our network of people that think like us around us, which is amazing, right? Like we're not just anybody can come hang out with us. Like we're looking for like-minded people. We're looking for people who have positive energy, with good morals, and that want to go out and dominate. They want to become awesome agents, and they want to build additional income streams, right? So that's what we're trying to do here, is not just, okay, you need to sell houses until you die, because that is also a problem with real estate, right? Just like the rest of industry, you got to work till you're 67. It's even harder in real estate because there is no, um, uh, 501 or 401k. Goodness, what's wrong with me? There's no 401k plan. So it's even harder with real estate. But our whole goal is to help these people sell real estate, but build their income streams while they do so. So that has been a fantastic thing.
It has, man. It's been a pleasure building that out with you, Charlie. I gotta be honest. Like, I can't think of another person in the world that I would rather do it with than you. So, it's props to you. And man, so I mean, on the note of building a team and becoming a leader and transitioning into that. So, I mean, didn't really know, or it didn't really occur to me to ask you this before, but I mean, has that ever been like a struggle, or have you ever struggled with kind of like leading a team and being a leader? Because I know that's something that I kind of struggled with in the beginning is, how can I provide value to somebody else who's, way in my mind, who's way, further in life than I am. They might be older, they might have more experience in a certain field. So has that ever kind of like crossed your mind, or has that ever been a problem, or did you really, not think about that, and we're always able to provide value to people?
I think we all have that limiting belief initially, right? And it's the same thing when you become an agent. Like, okay, I'm gonna cold call this seller and try and make them a client, right? That's a hard proposition because you're brand new. What do you know about real estate? How do you bring them on? But as you gain confidence and you learn these things, which doesn't require a ton of experience, just a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of experience, um, you can be pretty effective, right? And as you start to grow personally, you can help other people grow. It doesn't matter if they're a top producer. They may be a top producer that's throwing away $100,000 a year, to their broker, right? If you can just educate them and show them, hey, you know what, you would actually keep a lot more here. Is that something that would interest you? By the way, here's our really cool network, and here's all the other additional, benefits we provide. All this comes at no cost, right? If you really educate people and help them understand what we're about, what we can help them with, and add value with no expectations, that's how you can win, right? And people see that and they value it, and they value the authenticity of it. Um, Hopefully that answered the question.
No, you did, and I think that's something that people don't think about, is that there's always some kind of value that you can provide. It doesn't matter what experience level you are, and the your friend is, or your partner is, or somebody else is. You can always provide somebody with value, just as a human being and as a person, right? Sending somebody a text on a holiday, or wishing them a happy birthday. That's some form of value that people don't really appreciate enough. I think that we all have. So kind of, I think for people who are listening, who are starting out, or a little bit newer, don't really know how to provide value, kind of think about like different ways that you can provide value, not just as a business person, but as a human being as well. Because I mean, that's the reason why I was attracted to you in the beginning, when we started working together, was because you were able to provide me with human value versus only strictly business value as well. When you reached out to me, I was taking my real estate exam courses, and you were just super helpful for the first couple of days and weeks, and that was the reason why we ended up becoming business partners, is because you were there as a friend and as a human being who, because we all want to feel like that we're not alone in this world, and just you being present and being there for somebody, I think that's more value than people they really think about and cherish as well. So I mean, kind of on that note, from a business level as well. So, have you seen a little bit of growth from that, or have you seen, like, what is the growth that you've seen on a business side when it comes to providing value to other agents, either on the team right now or in the future, as well as you're wanting to build your team. So, have you seen a little bit of that, and how are you kind of differentiating yourself, somebody from your current background, from like the top producers or the 20-year agent or the big social media influencer?
Yeah, so to me, my priorities are a bit different. You've got the agents out there that their priority is to sell as much as they can, right? I maybe think a little different, right? Like I don't necessarily want to go serve a bajillion clients and be pulling my hair out all the time. And I do want to serve clients, but I want to serve them well. I only want to do a few at a time, so I can do that. Um, and in the same thing kind of applies to the team here. I want to, my focus is really on helping them succeed, um, which if I put more time to that, I think long run, that's going to be a better return on my time, and return on their time than just going off and focusing on clients, right? So I do love my clients a lot, and I try to just keep it to a few at a time for that reason, because I'm also focusing on my team. I know I've got the one thing sitting behind me, so I'm violating that rule. What is my one thing? But to me, I do split kind of between three different paths. I've got my sales, I've got my real estate investing, which is all short-term rental focused and management focused, and then I've got my team building aspect. And I would say that the latter two are more important than the first one. Can always go out and sell a house, but I can't, you know, but if that's all I do, that's all I will do until I die, right? You've got all those real estate agents out there with their profile pictures from their 40s, and they show up and they're 67. You're like, goodness, man, are you going to stop selling houses ever? They're like, well, I can't, like how would they, without becoming a broker, or a team leader, how would they do that? Well, they would do it by one of the two other things, focusing on additional income streams. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like, I'm not doing it out of greed. I'm doing it out of freedom and flexibility. And I'm doing it by helping others succeed in that arena, which is so much fun. Um,
Yeah, yeah, man, and and it's been fun for me as well, because I've taken a front row seat to seeing and participating in that with you. And yeah, I think what people don't, great circling back to the beginning of our conversation is just what people need to think about is how are they living their life right now, and what kind of what avenue do they have to exit their job or their current main stream of income right now, right? Or is because if you're enjoying it, a lot, because a lot of people do enjoy their stream of income, whether if it's their job or a self-employed business or anything, but they don't really think about the day that comes where you might not be able to work, or you might not want to work again. So I mean, and because you come from such a unique background, that kind of resonated with you, because you came from the investing side, wanting to get out of your job first and then getting your license. So you knew before even becoming an agent that you wanted freedom. You didn't want to just go out there and be be self-employed and be the big badass real estate agent kind of out there in your market as well. So I think that's something that you're able to offer agents and people that can really think about as well. And is that, and kind of going on to the next question, is that something that you've been able to realize, like even helping other agents, whether if it's just agents in your local team over in Florida, or the agents on your revenue share team, is that something that you've realized, is that you're able to help agents who are maybe even producing more or have more experience, but because you come from the background that you do, and you hold like the values that you do and the mindset that you do, you can actually help them develop a new mindset, and that's the way that you can provide value for them.
Dude, that's exactly it, right? That is the value that I provide. Is is something different. It's not that I can teach them how to go sell a luxury house, though we have people in our network that can teach them that, right? It's that I'm teaching them a different mindset. Like personally, um, I don't I don't want to have to sell a house to put food on the table, which is a totally different way of thinking about being a real estate agent, right? Because most people are getting their license so that they could leave the current corporate job to go work for themselves, be self-employed, and do this real estate thing, which I think is an awesome thing. It does afford you a lot of ability to do that. You don't have to sell that many houses to replace the income for most jobs out there. Um, but I want a different mindset, right? I don't want to, for my clients, for myself, for my family, for my personal financial and freedom goals. I don't want to have to sell a house to put food on the table. I want to sell a house because I enjoy it, because I like serving my clients. So I'm helping agents discover that as well. I'm helping them do some unique things. Like a lot of agents will go out there, they'll join a team that'll give them leads for 50% commission, or they'll go out and they'll pay for Facebook ads, and none of those things are wrong, right? Those are all great ways to get started and to get some initial clients and to get going. But I'm also teaching people how to do the taking that money they make and reinvesting it into into real estate investing, other investing, teaching those agents how to build a team. You can do that immediately. You can do that as a part-timer. You can do it and give leads to your teammates without paying for any of those Facebook or Google leads. There's ways we can do those things where you can build massive growth, and build a sphere around you and build additional income streams without having to have been in the space for a long time. And so we've got the network, we've got the tools, we've got the ability to do that. So why wouldn't we? Why would we not help these agents not just go sell their first house, but build, add their first teammate and build their first lead generation stream for either clients or additional realtor teammates, that where those leads reach out to them, right? So we focus a lot on organic lead generation and building these streams where people reach out to you instead of you chasing your tail and chasing all these crappy $2 Facebook leads and until you pull your hair out, right? We're trying to do things smarter, more efficiently, better, and build a path to not only kind of scale your own business, but build a team and invest in your future.
Man, that's awesome, man. So you're really taking like a different approach, and I think that's what really is contributing to your factor to your success in the year, not just with the team building business and like every other aspect of your business as well. Like I know something that what you do with your Airbnbs is that you really furnish them in a different way than a lot of other people do. So I mean, just being different and not trying to be better than the person who's already been doing it, but being different than them. That's really how people who might not have the experience be able to succeed and succeed fast like you have and during COVID. So that's something that's actually that's actually pretty interesting because you said like the way that your business took off was really in the past like year or so, right? In the past year or so or 2 years. Is that right?
Yeah, just kind of I as soon as I got my license, I deployed for the Air Force, so I immediately left the local area. Still sold the 2 houses during that time, um, from afar, so it can
That's
be done.
awesome.
Yeah, just by partnering with another EXP agent in my market, so it worked out great. So, I mean, so I kind of had a little bit of a setback. Maybe that's a limiting belief being not local, but I have learned to that put me immediately in a position to what's the most efficient thing I can do with my time, right? Especially starting off as a part timer, you can't be everywhere all at once. You have to leverage a team. You have to. You just have to. And guess what? You're going to win more by surrounding yourself with those people, showing properties for them when they can't make it, and vice versa. You've opened up so many doors by surrounding yourself with like-minded teammates. Um, Sorry, I forgot what the question was, but
No, no, I would just want to make sure that
oh,
I got my facts right, but I just
right.
wanted to.
Yeah, I think yes, the original, yeah, things have taken off for me kind of starting in November of uh, October, November 21, really is when things really started skyrocketing. I've managed to um, leverage a Facebook community really that's set my business way apart, where all we do is provide value. And then if they want to work with us, with our team to buy a house or sell a house, they can. We give them that option, but they're not required to, and we don't shove it in their faces, and we just help them. And a lot of the things we're doing don't result in a commission, right? We're helping them get on base housing, or what's the best place to get your kid's haircut, all sorts of random things that are extremely helpful to people, right? So if you provide value with no expectations in return, read the Go Giver, then that it'll all come back to you. There is a thing, a karma effect out there that's always in play. So I really do believe that the more value you provide to others, the more you'll get in return, just in the long run.
Yeah, that's the law of compensation, right? Can't expect
Right.
something without having to put forth the effort first, and that's something that's actually really transitions well into what I wanted to talk about next. And that's you said your business really took off in November 2021, but I've known you since November of 2019, and we've been working hard for those past. Well, I know firsthand that you've been working hard for those past 2 years, not just with what we're doing as partners, but what you're doing with your current investing business as well. So talk a little bit more about, I mean, if you don't mind, talk a little bit more about, how has, if it has at all, how has COVID kind of affected your business, and how it actually kind of made it as more of a, in my opinion, it looks like a trampoline to kind of explode your business for that year. We're in 2021, in 2021 it was able to explode because a lot of people in the beginning of 2020 were so miserable and they thought their life was over. But I think you took a different approach, and now look at the rewards. So if you can just talk a little bit more about what your mindset was when that news kind of hit in early of 2020, and the approach you took for those 2 years, so that your business is now the best it's ever been doing.
Yeah. I mean, okay, COVID happens, right? So you could do one of two things. You can cry about it, or you can get to work, right? And so what we found, you and I found for our team, right, that our team growth was that, hey, people all of a sudden, when everything shut down, how do I go? How do I get my training? How do I get my support as an agent? How do I do my agent things besides showing properties? How do I do everything else? Because COVID, and I can't see people in person for a while, right? So easy. We've been doing it for a decade at HP, right? We've got all this stuff where we have the ability to accomplish things and do 80 plus hours of training a week, all online, right? Now, what a lot of people don't realize about that is that, hey, we still are in person and selling houses and teaming and meeting in our markets when we can, post COVID, um, whatever you consider that to be, and we're meeting now. But you could still accomplish a lot, right, if you have the right tools. So that's the team side of it. We found that people wanted that. They wanted a way to continue moving forward during this crazy time and not have to pay for that office that they're no longer using, right? So that helped us grow our team very quickly during that time period. On the other side of it, the investing side, Warren Buffett says, be greedy when others are fearful, right? Fearful when others are greedy. Uh, if you remember, when COVID first happened, people, all of a sudden, the real estate market took a little tumble, right? People didn't buy houses. Guess what I was doing? Buying houses. Okay. I bought one, two, three, four, uh, um, 4 properties. I put another 6 under contract, a new build set in Nashville. All when people were like, "Ooh, don't buy real estate. The world is ending," right? Like, no, it's going to come back. And don't buy Airbnbs. COVID could happen. And they shut down for 2 weeks. And it's like, guys. You know how much pent up demand there's going to be? You know how many people are going to want to travel after this? You know how few Airbnbs there are compared to the demand out there? If you just did a little bit of research, you'd realize, and rates dropped to all time lows, right, for loans. So now your cash flow could be maximal. If you just took a minute to step back and not do what the masses are doing, you will be more successful, right? You got to look at what your network is doing. You got to find that right network and understand what's going on out there. And so I was buying when other people weren't. So by the time everybody else started buying, all my properties went up in value, right? So It's you got to look for those key moments and understand, interest rates are about to go up. The housing market might slow because of that, even though there's still a lack of housing. But what are you going to do during that time? You're going to say, interest rates are up. I'm going to wait till they go down. It's probably not the right answer, right? Figure out something that still works and go do that.
Yeah, man, that I didn't even realize that now that you just mentioned it, and I can't believe I didn't, but you really started, focusing your efforts into Airbnbs like during the midst and height of COVID. And and I mean, as compared to like some other investors, you were a newer investor at the time, right? Yeah, a couple of investment properties, but you weren't like the other institutional investors out there who has like hundreds of maybe like 50 or 60, or not hundreds, but like 50 or 60 properties that they've done or flipped. And you transitioned into Airbnbs in the middle of COVID. So I mean, I can't believe I didn't. I'm just realizing this now, but that must have been like a for other people at least, that must have been like a big risk. And did you get any like backlash for that at all, or was that, or you kind of just like focused so hard on your goals and you're so confident in that? And how did you kind of deal with it if you did have any backlash?
I don't know. Maybe it's epic stupidity that I got lucky on, but what I have learned is that if I just
Oh,
listen to the people who have been successful in the things I want to be successful in, that seems to be the better advice than listening to friends or family that have never owned any rental properties or are not agents or are not doing all these things. Those people always are willing to give you their advice, right? Is it worth
yeah,
it? Is it worth anything? Hmm. That's what you really need to be thinking about. Um, not
man.
no offense to those people, but again, find the network and leverage that network of people who are doing what you're doing rather than the rest of the world. And if you got any naysayers out there, you need to just cut them right out. You don't have time for that, and they may be personal friends or work associates, and that's okay. You need to surround yourself with people that will uplift you and help you succeed, and not those that will make fun of you for your real estate investing or your team building. Those people don't, there's no room for them in your life. You got things to do.
Yeah. Ah, man, I think so many people, and this is something that I've really been. I don't know if it's just something that I've been doing ever since I was a kid, but I really pick my mentors, like you said. I'm very picky about who my mentors are, and I think that's what people need to do, and that's what you did, and that's why you're successful that you are right now. Is because every time that I think when we think about advice and we think about different opinions that are given to us, take a moment to actually think about who's giving you that opinion or who's giving you that advice, right? And if they're not somebody who they're currently right now in a position where you want to be in, it's probably not the best idea to take their advice, because they only know from what they know. And if that's that's the result they get from what they know, then is that the same result that you want? So I'm always a big proponent of always take advice, and only take advice from people that you would be willing to trade a portion or that portion of your life with. So if it's business, if it's family, if it's, investing or finances or fitness, but if you're not willing to trade that portion of your life with that person, you probably don't want to be taking their advice. And I think that's something that you're able to do, and that's why you're the way that you are right now and succeeding, and your Airbnb business is booming. I mean, are you looking to expand on that even more? I'm like kind of like digging
Yeah,
into the
man.
future now, but
I am.
yeah.
I am. And I just want to touch on that point you were getting at there. It's I would rather buy two properties with partners than buy one alone, because I've learned that I get so much more out of partnerships than I do by myself, and that's true with us, right? Like,
Mhm.
there's no way I could have built the team I built without you, right? And so you just don't, until you go out there and you network with people and you meet them and you start working with them, you just don't even know what you can accomplish um, with a team than you can on your own. It's incredible.
It is, man, and it is, and I think what people don't like, and so this is something I'm just realizing now from our conversation, is that you're so in a community and you're so into networks and building businesses, not just by yourself but with other people, because there's a lot of great entrepreneurs, very successful people out there who are real good lone wolves and lone wolves, but they do things on their own, and they do things kind of because they have this big personality, big egos, and successful business people, they kind of need that a little bit of an edge, right? They need to have some kind of personality, or they're not gonna, or they won't have the confidence that they do to go out there and actually start their own business and take the risks that they do. But a lot of people, they're kind of like focused on themselves, whereas people like you and me as well. I really like, we really like just going out there and building something, but not building it just for yourself or by yourself, but building it with a bunch of different people that you love hanging out with all the time, and because it's just so much more fun that way. But you can
It
also
is.
learn so much, especially in the beginning. But yeah, man. So something else that I really think you can be of value to everybody who's listening to this conversation right now is you're also a great family man. So you have a beautiful family, Charlie. I get your Christmas card every year. You just had a new baby boy, right? This past year. So how have you been juggling that, man? Because that's something that I have no experience with. I'm 20 years old. This is going to be way into the future as me, so I can really learn something from you as well. But juggling family with business and not giving up, your family time, but also still focusing on building a great future for them as well. How does that line toe for you?
I'm glad you asked that, dude. I mean, and it's not showing by the length of how much I've talked about real estate on this podcast. You can tell it fuels my fire and it's a passion. But my number one priority is family. It always will be. It always has been. And it's it's interesting. I subscribe to the "there's no such thing as balance" model. Um, Go read the one thing, and Gary talks about it, right? He talks about how really life is just um, a imbalance of doing one thing really well, doing the other thing really well, and you kind of just have to make that trade. But the way I kind of try to approach that is I try to make the weekends and I try to make evenings all family focused as much as possible. I've got all my 2022 goals. We've got monthly mini trips we're going to be doing. We've got 2 big family trips we're going to be doing. Um, I've even involved all of the family in real estate, right? Our first Airbnb was a Disney property. Well, guess what? We've been to Disney a few times since then. Um, and we really enjoy that. So it's been a cool linking that's really made this a family business. Um, my wife is just as important to my business, even though real estate maybe isn't as much of a passion for her. Hey, if I got to run out and do a showing, she's like, okay, got it. This is part of who we are now, right? We go out, I do the showing. Hey, we reinvest every dollar of that commission into some other either team building, but mostly real estate investing, right? Into other ways to grow our family income. So that's been awesome. She's seen the fruits of our labor. That's gone pretty well. And sometimes it's like, hey, we just kind of get involved. Hey, I've got a showing in Gulf Breeze. All right, we're gonna go show on Saturday, and then we're going to the Gulf Breeze Zoo. Or hey, I've got to do a showing in Panama City. These are kind of long drives for me. The Panhandle is long. um, so we'll all go. Hey, we're going to show a couple condos, and then we're going to go do Ripley's and the Children's Museum. And so it's kind of been fun turning it into a family business. And we're looking at kind of expanding that. Eventually, I'll have jobs for my kids to work on, because there's tax write-offs for that. My wife has been volunteering doing some tax center stuff for military members. So now we might turn that into, hey, she can start doing some accounting for our businesses, and helping that way. So I don't know. It's fun. Being a dad is the most amazing thing ever. But it fuels my fire there too. I did this blog post a long time ago after my daughter was born saying, hey, being a parent maybe isn't the most important thing you do in life. And everybody flipped out and they took it the wrong way. What I meant was, hey, yes, I want to be a dad. I want to succeed at being a parent. But I want to give them something so much more, right? I want to build this massive thing that they can, hang their hat on as a family and build this kind of family empire. But maybe that's just my own, what do you call it? Immortality project. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I haven't actually. What is the Immortality
Okay.
Project?
I forget which book that's from, but the whole theory is that man is, you know, The humankind is just a series. We spend our lives working on our immortality projects, the things that will outlive us because we know eventually we will die, right? So maybe my immortality project is creating this really cool lifestyle, this financial freedom based and time and location flexibility lifestyle for my family that can maybe go on forever.
Immortality project. I just wrote that down, so I'm gonna have to do a little bit more research in that. That's really interesting. So that's just a side note. But
Oh,
when
you know
you
what?
said
It's from this book right here, Mark Manson.
Mark
Subtle art of
Manson,
not giving a
oh,
whatever.
curse. I mean, we'll edit it
That's a
out if
good.
we have to.
That's a good one. That's a good one to listen to. It's funny.
Yeah. All right. But yeah, just getting back on track about what you said about family and juggling it. What I hear a lot of entrepreneurs say, other from me listening to other people's podcasts and shows or people that I know, they'll talk about blocking time for family. That's like the theme that a lot of people has, and they'll block time and like this is my family time, or I have this hour to this hour as my time where I don't take any calls. I put my phone away, and I think that you take a different approach, and I think it's actually a quite interesting approach as well. Is that you're involving your family in your business in a way, like you said, you're taking them on showings where it might be near a vacation spot or a nice weekend spot, or buying a rental property, an Airbnb that you also use as a vacation home as well, near Disney World, the most magical place on earth. So I mean that's something that I think it's really interesting that you say that now, because I feel like when you were telling me that story about how when you had your daughter and then that was when you first started your journey in investing, that it was almost like written in the stars that it was always going to be that way, that you're always going to be kind of running a family centered business where everybody was we're going to be involved all the time. And that's something that I think it's so interesting, right? Because that's kind of the way you got off, started in real estate, and now as you're progressing and moving forward, that's the same theme that you're keeping as well. So for people out there who are kind of like juggling this between being a family person and also being a parent, and then also starting a business or just getting in that growth phase of the business, right? You don't necessarily have to be this hard ass who go out there like we block off this hour and this hour to do this and that and that and that. You can find ways like you did, Charlie, to go out there and actually involve your family in what you're doing, right? That's something that, on a side note, Grant Cardone also does as well, from what I've seen from his story. Like he takes his families, he takes his kids and makes them do sales calls for him. And they, they go out there and they go on business meetings together. So that's something that I think, if you want to do something, involving your family is not necessarily a bad thing, because you're accomplishing a lot. And I mean, did you do that intentionally in the beginning, or is that something that just kind of flowed as well, kind of into your life, and that just a way to fit both things in once?
It just became a necessity with how much we have going on. It just too bad we had to. We kind of had to just adapt and all join in this thing together. And I think I mean, it's important to. I don't want to poo-poo the time blocking or whatnot. On Friday night when my daughter's in the garage and she's saying, "Hey, let's buy something," she makes up this whole fantastic fantasy game, and we're playing this game. And I've got some clients who are a friend of mine, saying, "Hey, are we going to have a call tonight?" I'm like, "Guys, I'm sorry, we're going to have to do tomorrow morning. Let's chat in the morning, because I want to be in this moment right now." But what you're saying is all true too. We've gotten to a different level of just being involved. And hey, sometimes we're not going to watch The Amazing Race tonight. We're going to instead review this offer, right? We're going to do some, and that's okay. That's just part of our life now. We've just come to, that's what we do. It's a family event now. So
Yeah. No, I think that goes back to what you said about you being this person that kind of really enjoys the experience versus just the accomplishments as well. And that's what people really need to think about, is that sometimes it's okay to say no to things that you don't want to go all in on, because you're having it. You just want to be present in the moment right now. And that's what people need to realize, is that we have an abundance of opportunity, but we don't have an abundance of present moments, right? When we have it, it's only now. The present, like I said, the present is a gift. So take advantage of it, man. So there will be other sales opportunities. There will be other clients out there, but you only have that one moment that you have, and you don't want to, and this is something that's really interesting because nobody ever looks back and thinks about, well, I didn't have that moment. I regret that so much, but it's always thinking back and like, oh, I'm so glad I did take the time to spend with my family, or I did take the time to call off or reschedule that client or that sales call, because you always, you don't really think about the regret because
Yeah.
you don't know what you're missing out on, but you always think back on the great moments that you have, and then that's something that I think is what people need to think about as well. And just living out there and experiencing, like you said, with your family, going out there and experiencing the business as well, because you can make what most people might think would be like this most boring thing in the world, like reviewing an offer, and make it fun for everybody, or going on a showing that you might have not wanted to go on a day before, but because now that you're taking your entire family out to, and also a trip, or a little staycation or something. It just becomes a lot more fun, and you can in the same time keep your goals in mind, right? Where you're doing it for them, and then that's the task you're doing. Is that something that kind of comes to mind when you do, when you're going on business, but you're also kind of putting family time in there as well? Is that you're able to kind of keep the vision and the vivid goal in mind as you're completing the task and actually moving towards your goal?
That's funny you say that. So you did a lot Facebook Live about your intent, right? So after that I was
I
like,
did.
man, I wow, I need to sit down and do this. So I sat down for a half hour and kind of brainstormed. All right, what's my intent? What are my priorities? What are my goals for this, for the future? And I wrote this intent, and you're not allowed to steal it. This copyright. Live a life overflowing with amazing moments created through massive financial and location freedom. So,
Wow.
and ever since I wrote that on the wall, I'm like, man, that's fantastic. We're gonna and that right there says it's the two are tied together. They're not. I can't unlink the financial freedom piece from the amazing moments, which is the family and friend moments, which again you get one chance at this whole thing. So you got to optimize being in the moment, being the present, doing those things, but they're not independent. They have to go together. To have a lot of those moments, I have to be building the financial freedom, and sometimes they're together. They just are. Sometimes they are one and the same, and that's okay. And one thing I just kind of want to touch on, when I thought about it last night, and my daughter wants to play this game with me. It's just the two of us, and I'm like, this is so, I'm not going to get this again. This is once, right? And she's going to grow up, and she's going to go off on her own and do amazing things in life. But right now, being in this moment with her, or building Legos with her, those are so important to me. Can always go out and sell another house, right? Who cares? Who cares about selling another house? I don't care about that. I don't care about thousands of dollars worth of commission versus that hour I'm spending hanging out with her and playing with her. That's so much more important. And I think people devalue that. Now let me just take this phone call. Let me just do this thing. And yes, sometimes I have to, but there's no such thing as balance. You got to decide. Um, Sometimes you got to pivot one way or the other.
Yep. Putting value in yourself and your own time. And that's super important, man. And I don't want to take up too much of your time, man, because I know you got a family to get back to. It's the
Yeah.
weekend that we're filming on, but yeah, but we just when you sent me that your intent the day you did, and I was like, wow, that's I can't believe I didn't come up with that. That's awesome, man. So that's a beautiful intent. But like I said, I don't want to take up too much of your time. So just one last question. We can kind of end on this note. Just moving forward, what can you tell people who are either in a similar position as you are, or somebody who's kind of struggling right now in their business? What is like one key takeaway that you can give people right now, and then moving forward in business as well?
Call us. Yeah, so, I mean, seriously, I mean, network, right? Your network is what's going to push you forward, and there's no reason to repeat anything. So the best way to do that is, hey, if we can help you, we will. So reach out to us. I'm assuming you'll share our contact information with this podcast, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, people
Yeah.
should feel like they are able to reach out and are able to ask questions, and we will help them in any way we can. And that's just how real estate works, and growth works, right? There's not, you might be brand new to something and I'm going to learn something from you, right? It doesn't work where you're only pulling from people who've done it, but it works both ways. You can always share information, you can always learn, you can always grow together. So don't feel like you need to do that alone. Build your network, reach out to people, um, and then go conquer the world.
Yeah, conquer the world. But yeah, man. So Charlie, just on an ending note, kind of tell people out here, what's the best way to reach out to you? What are some social media handles? Like, where can people find you if they really want to reach out to you?
Yeah, probably the easiest way is email, crushitwithcharlie@gmail.com. That, my unread emails is my running to-do list. I call it ancient, but it really works for me. And then I can get to it when I can. Otherwise, um, we've got our blog, agentwealthhustle.com. You can schedule a call with us, Zoom call with us there. Um, and you know, we'll help any way we can. And the family is
Yeah.
melting down. So
Yeah. That's what I was here. I was about to say, I hear your family calling.
yeah,
So I'm gonna let you go here, Charlie. I feel like
I'm
I've
gonna
learned
pivot now.
an eternity of information about you that I didn't know before. But it was awesome having you on this conversation, man. I can't wait to have you back on again. And
Joey, I'm stoked, man. Thank you so much for having me.
yeah, no problem, Charlie. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And you guys out there listening, if you guys like the show, go out here. If you're watching on YouTube, go comment, like, and subscribe. If you guys are listening on a different platform, share a review. Let me know what you think. And always remember that what Charlie said. If you need something, just reach out to him. But other than that, guys, hope you guys enjoy the first show, and looking forward to seeing you guys again.